Hello guys, welcome back to Clockwork Noodles, the channel where Becca continues to break down the airing animes of this season. I do things like breaking down characters, I look into colour, I look into anything random in general. You guys have got a fun video going up in a little over 2 weeks for my birthday celebrations. It's going to be fun. I am gifting you guys a gift and I think you might like it. I think it's something a little fun. So make sure you guys are subscribed and you can see the gift that I am presenting to you upon my birthday, because my birthday's going to suck. So I'm going to share it with you guys, which will make it all the better. Also, make sure if you are into Discord, there is a Discord channel which will allow you to get a notification whenever a video goes up. This way you stay in the loop and you also get to see when I have random ideas, and any polls that I might do will be going up on Discord. So hello and welcome back to Dr. Stone. Today we are on episode 7. This is season 2, Stone Wars. Today is definitely my favourite episode so far. I absolutely loved the way today's episode all came together. Dr. Stone just kind of shot a little bit further up into the rankings. This season, there's been some amazing animes, there's been some letdowns. If you are as well interested to find out what my top 3 anime of winter 2021 is, make sure you are again subscribed, because my video for what are my top 3 and what am I watching next season is going up within about 4 weeks time. So we're going to go back. Last episode we saw the prison break. Chrome believes indeed that it was Taiju, or Yuziju as we're calling them, who gave him the battery. But last week I said, no, that doesn't make sense because they didn't have the battery. Senku basically is on my boat too. So he verifies my doubt, and it definitely wasn't Yuziju, it was neither of them. It is Ukyo. Ukyo has been the character so far who's been a little bit, you can't pinpoint him. So he's done some odd questionable things, like he lied to Tsukasa, that he didn't actually alert anybody when there was actually people on the site. So Ukyo, his motives, very, very questionable. And obviously, this is the episode where we finally get the wrap up on Ukyo and we finally get him onto our side, which I will say a little bit more about because I've got some thoughts about his condition. We'll get there in a bit. But it wasn't Yusuraha who actually gave the battery to him either, because she is busy with the secret mission. And today's episode's title is indeed Secret Mission, so roll credits. But it is nice to see that Chrome is finally able to meet the steam gorilla. He missed out on the construction, but it was something that we knew that Chrome would want to see. Gorilla isn't being smashed into a wall, so we actually have a tank on our side, ready for the final battle, which is looking like it's going to be next week. And next week's episode is going to be fire. We finally have our end goal for Team Science. Our final battle, which is definitely the title of next week's episode, is to recapture the Miracle Cave. This is the cave that is going to be able to wake up more people, have more people on Senku's side, hopefully, and also give them the upper hand. But right now, Tsukasa has the advantage. He has more men. We actually get to touch base with the propaganda mission that we haven't really spoken about too much recently. Hopefully, this is going to even out the difference. So hopefully next week, the people who have been converted are going to join up, and hopefully it's not going to be too much of a difference between Tsukasa and Senku's numbers. Although I was really worried. I was like, if somebody basically didn't buy into the propaganda, let's say they were taken by the guys, they listened to the message, surely their cover would have been blown. Surely at this point he would have gone, wait, no, this is fake. Hey, Tsukasa, this is going on behind your back. It was quite a risky way of doing it. So I wasn't 100% impressed by the idea that we were going to go about it with the propaganda message, but it does seem to be working out, and I think I'm going to have a pinch of salt with this one. I don't think it's the strongest plan in the world, but for now it is definitely working. We are told that Nikki has been giving Gen some vocal training to basically replicate Lillian's voice a lot better. This also tells us that there has been some time passing by, and also gives you an idea on what Gen's been up to because we haven't seen him recently, so he basically has been getting some vocal training from Nikki. We then start to get a lot of focus on Ukyo, leaning into the idea that Ukyo is now going to be a key player. We know he lied to Tsukasa's army when he basically said that Chrome was actually scouting the cave, nothing more. Chrome doesn't actually say anything. So right now, when he has the flashback of what happened on those falls when Ukyo basically lied straight to Tsukasa's face, Chrome doesn't actually tell Senku about this, which is interesting. So if Chrome had maybe told Senku right here, Ukyo has done something weird, I think the guys might have gone into the conversation with Ukyo a little bit differently. But to be fair, they do fantastic anyway, but I think it would have saved a bit of time if Chrome had actually said something. What is the secret mission that Yuzuju has been focusing on. Senku also says that this indeed is the last mission before the fight. I don't know how it's going to end. So if he does somehow beat Tsukasa next episode, is that the end of like our rivalry? Is that the end of our bad guy? Because they can't kill him. So I've got a lot of questions starting to formulate with how we're going to deal with Tsukasa, because if we can't kill him, he's still going to be there as a thorn in our side no matter what. Team Yuzuju commencing on the propaganda, so we want to see the propaganda in action again, where we get Gen and his still ever so scary transformation into Lillian. It's still terrifying, I'm sorry, as he again tells the new faces from Tsukasa's army about the US being back from the Land of the Stone. It is still terrifying. I think the way that Skin is also shown during the speech trying to get them to cooperate with Senku. He looks so terrifying. I like the way that he's shown. But bearing in mind that this is still propaganda, this is still a lie, it's going to end really badly when everybody who has just agreed to cooperate with Senku finds out the USA is still probably stone. Although it's going to be interesting to see, is the rest of the world also stone still? Is there any small pockets in the world anywhere that may have also started waking up, or maybe there were more bat caves somewhere else in the world? Gonna be very interesting to see the bigger picture, because right now all we've seen is this little bit of Japan, this tiny little bit where Senku and Tsukasa is. We don't know about the wider picture. It is going to be interesting to see if we ever get to open up and see the wider picture. Ukyo, the man of the hour, comes in as he is fully aware that there is indeed a phone. It comes down to what seems like a bit of a battle, Ukyo versus Gen's new leveled up Lillian. However, we know that there's not really any fight here. Ukyo, he used to listen to sonar. He's very good at detecting the smallest little disturbance in sound waves. What he actually picks Gen up on is the fact that Gen wasn't singing. We played a track of Lillian, the real Lillian, singing, and then Gen mimics her after. What he actually picks her up on is the fact that her voice doesn't sound strained after singing. So when you sing, you warm up your muscles. When Gen just starts to talk randomly after the song has ended, he basically can detect the fact that the voice isn't as strained as it should be, showing you the level of this guy's hearing and how subtle it is that he's having to pick up on it. Then Ukyo's English. The English really shocked me. And the English also catches our boys off guard. It also catches Gen off guard and Senku off guard, as we start to realise that Ukyo definitely isn't on either any side. He's on no side. He doesn't want everybody else to hear what's going on. So he's speaking in English. Presumably nobody else in the facility has learned even the basic English at school. It's just a bit odd that nobody else can understand any of the English. Senku finally confirms that it was indeed Ukyo who was involved with getting the battery to Chrome. But this also indirectly shows us that Ukyo must be really, really smart, because he also realised that Chrome needed the battery to escape. He had to be on some kind of wavelength that he knew that Chrome would be able to use that battery to also break out. But with the information we also get a little bit later on, it's also more the fact that he just didn't want to see Chrome die. If the army would get there, and if Senku attacked, as he said, you would be dead, he wanted to prevent, as we now know, he wants to prevent bloodshed. So he let Gen out because it would be the lesser of two evils and cause less bloodshed in the long run, because Senku's village, who would be riding in that tank, they wouldn't fall into a hole. They wouldn't end up dead by Tsukasa's arms. Now that we have the information and we can look back, little bits make a bit more sense, which is quite nice. Ukyo is the one who actually enlightens us on what the secret mission that Yuzi has been up to. I already knew this because I think somebody spoiled it for me. When we finally saw what it was, I was like, wait, I already know this. Has this not already been given to us? It hasn't. I just got spoiled and I forgot that I'd been spoiled. And then when I saw it, I didn't react to like I thought I would. She essentially, if you weren't aware, she is our seamstress. She is like me. I am a cosplayer as well. So I did recently put up my cosplay petticoat hoop skirt test because I was having fun with it. That's great. If you want to go and see 40 seconds of me jumping around, feel free. It should be in the cosplay section anyway. She is a seamstress, so she has been sewing everybody's clothing, and do not ever underestimate the creative. The creative one is always going to be somebody who can shock you because they have more skills. They have more ability to make use of what little they have. So she has been using the decoy of, oh, I'm going out to sew to actually get this mission done. So everybody believes that she's sewing at nighttime, but because of how fast she is, and to be fair, I'm jealous of how fast she is at sewing because I can't sew that fast. It takes me quite a while, and I'm a hand sewer too, like Yuzi. It takes me a while to do a decent seam. So if I was to do a seam perhaps and not worry about how it looked, perhaps I'd be faster. But I think it takes me about an hour to do about a meter of proper sewing if I was straight sewing it. Because of how fast she has been and how fast she is actually at sewing, she is now creating herself time to do the secret mission that Senku has given her. She is piecing back together all of the beheaded statues, the ones that have lost their heads and who have been deemed not fit for Tsukasa's new world, and she is saving them. She is saving the statues deemed by Tsukasa not fit. As Senku even promised, we're going to save everybody, and he also figured out that we should apparently be able to put the broken pieces back together and they should come back to life when they put the acid on it. Yuzi's using glue to put these stone bits together. I would love to know what kind of glue she's using. So I think some glues are animal based. The people who are alive have got cracked, the markings on the skin where the stone's cracked and stuff, which I like. I do like that art effect. If you're ever cosplaying, you've got all those lines to put in with the makeup. Guys, I'm overthinking that they're going to come back and there's going to be like glue in their bodies and things. That's my level of thinking right now. I overthink too much. Back on the matter of Tsukasa finally receives word that Chrome has escaped and that Yo has died. So we're actually going to go with a fake out from Yo. I would indeed hate to be the person who has to break the bad news to him, even though he doesn't technically react too badly losing Chrome. It's also fun to see that Yo decided that he didn't want to tell Tsukasa personally, and he relinquishes the Phantom of the Opera status. He gets rid of the mask, which is a bit weird because last episode I was like, wait, why is he still wearing the stone? Didn't he not want 2 eyes? So he actually was wearing it in a sense. I think he guessed it made him feel cooler, even though you'd have better eyesight with 2 eyes. He takes the mask off and he vanishes. He decides to let Tsukasa believe that he died by falling off the falls, which is quite a nice tie-in again to those falls, where it was actually Chrome who at least at one point thought he was going to lose his life over the falls, and actually now Tsukasa believes that Yo has also died. But it's interesting because now Yo isn't around and Yo is still out there. So what is Yo gonna do? We did see a few episodes ago that he does have a link to Gen. Is it possible that Gen is going to go face to face with Yo at some point later down the line and we're going to have Yo come back? Right now he is a loose cannon. We don't know where he's going to pop up. And I was really worried that Tsukasa wouldn't buy the lie that Yo is dead, but it does actually show that he did believe it. So he actually initially buys it. He's like, okay, fine, he's dead. He goes to the graveyard. Where we now go back to our Ukyo talk. Ukyo reveals his one condition: nobody can die, not a single person, which initially we know is Senku's goal. Senku wanted a bloodless revolution. He wanted to save everybody with the power of science, hence him piecing together those statues. Ukyo's condition never lined up with Tsukasa's dream, which we get a very nice backstory on how Ukyo came back into the world. He met Tsukasa and he saw what Tsukasa was doing to those statues. He was on nobody's side. He simply had to keep his mouth shut because he couldn't rise up against Tsukasa. He maybe even saw Chrome and Senku as a bit of an opening to try a different option, keep your options open. He perhaps didn't want to be responsible for an entire army falling into a hole and then dying. His condition of the if one person dies, I'm out. This to me is a little bit harsh because what if somebody dies by Tsukasa's hand in this fight? We know Senku was trying to do the right thing. It feels a little bit unfair because right now Tsukasa has killed people already, even though he says that he's trying to not quite believe it. Tsukasa has been beheading these statues with the intention that he's never going to wake them up. So these people are gone. So no matter how you sugarcoat it, Tsukasa is more likely to kill somebody than Senku is. And I feel like it's a bit of an unfair demand because there may be casualties that are unavoidable due to Tsukasa and due to what he's going to do, due to his actions. So also as well, if somebody does die, what is he simply going to do? Is he going to run back to Tsukasa? Because Tsukasa is definitely the maniac who's going around killing those statues, killing more people than Senku is. The whole way he puts it feels a little bit unfair, but it is good to have Ukyo now on our side. Initially, when I gave you a colour breakdown way back in those episodes, whenever he appeared, I told you guys, yellow is a very positive colour. So I was very shocked that when he was on the opposite side, I was like, it's a very good colour, so he's not actually a bad person. Nothing about Ukyo's design shows me he is a bad person. Yellow is positive, yellow is childlike, yellow is a hopeful sign. It's a very good colour to generally use and wear, and it also gives off quite good vibes. So normally with colours and stuff, there's a psychology to it. If you see yellow, people feel more happy, they feel more hopeful and positive. So when I saw Ukyo for the first time and I gave you guys that little bit of a breakdown, it doesn't surprise me that he has now joined this side. Ukyo being fixed, one problem is now dealt with. We have a new problem. And the problem also comes from Hyoga, the second man on top, the man who sits underneath Tsukasa. Ukyo tells us that he believes that Hyoga was the one indeed who was responsible for the death of the clan members who attacked the village back in season 1. It wasn't really Senku's fault. So we had the poisonous gas. I think Hyoga climbs up a tree, leaving the other guys basically to choke to death. I don't quite remember the specifics, but if anything, nobody was really to blame because the guys didn't know it was there. Senku and that lot vanished completely. But Hyoga noticed and then climbed a tree, so he didn't breathe in the gas, and then they did lose some people. We actually lost some people who won't be coming back, so you can't bring those guys back. It appears that Hyoga didn't quite tell Tsukasa the truth, so he must have spun it like, oh yeah, they died to Senku's science, it's all Senku's fault, so he would have used it for the propaganda to fuel Tsukasa's hate as well. So I think Hyoga's going to be a bit more of a harder cookie because he seems to actually enjoy the chaos. So he lines up quite nicely with Tsukasa. These two pair quite nicely because they both kind of revel in the chaos. Tsukasa actually ends up mourning those who died. Tsukasa actually appears. He's holding Yo's mask and he actually starts to lament about all the men. He hasn't forgotten any of their names, about every single man who lost their lives at that gas event, where we know it's Hyoga's fault, and we even get quite a creepy look from Hyoga as he completely understands, oh yeah, that was their names. Hyoga comes across as a bit more cold and heartless than, at this point, Tsukasa does. It is Hyoga who completely forgot the names of the men who died. It's just a little interesting between the two. I think that Hyoga is gonna be a big obstacle. I think Tsukasa, 2 big obstacles. So we've got 2 big obstacles coming our way, and they're definitely going to be harder to sway. And Hyoga definitely ain't going to be joining us. I don't think he's coming across. This is when I started to panic because he starts to try and bury the mask where the cell phone is. And to be fair, Senku probably never thought that Tsukasa would be digging around, but it's definitely a game over. And even though it wasn't initially game over in this first segment, it was going to be game over. He was going to find it. To break up the tension of him now being very close to finding the cell phone, Senku ends up reuniting in person with our friends. We finally have, after a year, after phone calls, we finally have our 3 reunited, and this actual reuniting made me a bit more tearful than the initial phone call did, because they're finally here. And as he says, we're finally ready for war. This is it. So this is the last we see of Team Science as we're starting to head towards the war. It then cuts back to Tsukasa finding the phone as we knew it would. We knew it would happen. And it's just that face as he finally figures out what's been going on. It is a very good sequence. It is an absolutely amazing sequence of him ripping out, seeing the word Senku written on the battery, just kind of his face as he realizes what's happening. And then it cuts to Senku basically telling us that we essentially have 20 seconds to make the most of a situation, to make fate before the men will have that fight response kick back in. So it's flight or fight. But the first 20 seconds, people will be like, oh my God, there's a tank. They'll run away. But then they'll evaluate the situation and then come back. You have 20 seconds to make the most, try and get the upper hand. It's going to be very interesting to see what Senku does in 20 seconds as he is already making a break. We've seen the tank rolling towards that cave, firing a shot. Obviously, that shot is a dud in a sense. It's just air. But it is one hell of a cliffhanger, one hell of a build-up for the war that is coming next week. This is it. We can't run anymore. We are finally here at the Stone Walls. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. So if Senku reclaims the cave, he somehow has Tsukasa and Hyoga defeated. But if he somehow has them captured and they've got the cave, because Senku needs the cave. That's what he says. So he has to have that location. So he's got to somehow push out Tsukasa's empire. I don't see how this is going to go also bloodless without killing anybody. I am very excited to see next week's episode. I'm very excited to see how it's all going to start wrapping up. Because there still is a bigger picture that we don't know. So there's a bigger picture of what is the rest of the world, how we're going to get it back to a modern day standard, how are we going to save absolutely everybody in the world. Also, it has been 7,000 years. What about the statues who have fallen into the ocean, who that bit of land is no longer there. They're in the ocean. That statue has fallen. It's gone. So I am very excited to see what's going to happen with Dr. Stone. There is such a big picture we're not seeing. So the Stone Wars have to account for maybe a little bit, because I think there's quite a bit of manga. It's gonna be interesting to see if Tsukasa is constantly the antagonist or somebody else takes the role, or what happens to Tsukasa, because I don't think his ideals are actually going to line up with Senku's anytime soon. Something has got to happen with Tsukasa. So whether he is the one who ends up being that one sacrifice, who knows? Very excited. I hope you guys too are enjoying Dr. Stone. This week's episode was absolutely fantastic. I loved every minute of it. I am so hyped for next week. I will see you guys again next week, and make sure you guys are staying safe. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.